Just 1 minute. Screen is visible for everybody? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah.
Screen is visible. I can start.
Yeah, please.
Yes, please.
So the topic for today is how to create a Veblen brand for a MFD business. This all started with the blog I wrote, I think, a couple of days ago on a Veblen brand. So we said, okay, why not Veblen brand for a MFD business? And is it viable to do it, or is it possible to do it? So let's explore all about it. So what are Veblen goods? Veblen goods are luxury goods or superior goods whose prices do not follow the typical economic laws of supply and demand. The examples are expensive watches, designer handbags, exclusive wines, jewelry, luxury cars. They are in demand because they're expensive. That is why they are in demand. If they were not that expensive, possibly nobody would have, buyers of these goods would have not even wanted to buy them. Now, what is the typical law of demand and supply? The typical law of demand and supply is, as prices increase, the quantity demanded decrease. And as the prices decreases, the quantity demanded increases. This is the basic law of economics that we've all studied. But what is the Veblen good, law of demand? The Veblen good law of demand is when the price increases, the demand also increases. And when the prices decrease, the possibly demand starts coming down. So it's the reverse of the normal demand and supply, law of demand and supply. Now, this all, they say, started with Julius Caesar. This is a story which I had put out in my blog also. At 23, Julius Caesar was a junior politician on the way up. But he had a very major advantage that he had a lot of confidence and he had brains and he could think on his feet. So once he was captured by pirates and they demanded 20 talents of silver. That is how silver was calculated. 20 talents of silver, which is about 620 kgs, which is around $600,000 in today's value. So Caesar told them, listen, yaar, you guys are being foolish. How can you only ask for this much? You have to ask for more. So he told them, listen, why don't you ask for some 50 talents of silver, which is approximately $1.5 million worth of today's money. So this is, now the pirates were very surprised कि यार ये कैसा बंदा है, ये क्या बोल रहा है, लोग तो बोलते हैं भी कम करो, कुछ करो, ये तो price बढ़ा रहा है. So, but they said, fine, yaar, if it is up, if you want to do this, fine, you do this. So they let Caesar's men go back to Rome to raise the money. And in Rome, in his absence, Caesar suddenly became very famous. Why? Because nobody had ever asked for this kind of a ransom. Nobody had, had been put to this kind of a ransom. So everybody thought that he must be very special, and very important. So, people gave the contribution, and the ransom was paid to the pirates, and Caesar got released. This was actually, they say, the first case of a Veblen brand or the Veblen effect, where Caesar himself made himself a Veblen brand. Nobody knew that this is actually been done by Caesar. Everybody thought that its real value wahi hoga. So isliye isne wo kiya. Now this is the other part of the story is that Caesar was a very cunning politician also. So what he did once he was released, now he knew where these pirates were stationed. He took some soldiers with him. He took a part of his army with him, and he went back and attacked the pirates, got his money back also, and also got whatever other booty that they had stored out there on that island. And that is how he started the Roman Empire himself. So this is the story on how the Veblen brand started. Essentially, Veblen brands are all about conspicuous consumption. There's the how it got its name of Veblen goods is there's a gentleman called Thurston Weblin who was interested in the relationship between economy, society, and culture. He analyzed the social order and said that people made purchases to signal the economic status and accomplishment to others. When people become rich, they want to announce it to the world. So how do they announce it to the world? They announce it to the world by, making, like we say, the Nouveau-ish. What do? They buy brands, they buy expensive cars, they buy lavish houses, they build lavish houses. Like Mamta ma'am was just saying, no, we are middle class, we will just buy, very, very normal, no luxuries and all. But there are a lot of people who are the other way around. They want to announce it to the world. We've arrived. See, and this is how they'll throw a lavish party and they'll serve expensive malts and wines and stuff like that. So this is how it is done. So this entire concept is based on conspicuous consumption, which is the purchase of goods and services for the specific purpose of displaying one's wealth. It's a means to show one's social status, especially when the publicly displayed goods and services are too expensive for other members of a person's class. Examples, like I said earlier, are diamond, jewelry, designer purses, bags, dresses. Now, even lawyers. Now, some people will want to go a more expensive lawyer. Now, this is something which concerns us. Services. Can services be classified as Veblen goods? Certain services be classified? Chief operating officers. There are certain top executives who are in demand for being on the boards also as independent directors. Whatever may be their strength, only for their brand name, they are invited to be on the board of directors. Similarly, consulting firms. You want to go to the big four, big four accounting firms, because they have the credibility, and people like to go to BCG, Boston Consulting Group, to do their consultancy then. Though their services may not be, as good or as bad as somebody else, but still people will want to go to them because they have a certain brand name. Professionals, even professional consultants, people like us also. I'll come to that later, but people like us also. Now, another example of Veblen goods today is the metaverse brands. We've all heard of metaverse brands. Why are people buying brands on the metaverse? Just to, what is the reason? It is basically to again, show that they've arrived. That is the possible reason. NFTs. NFTs also is a possibly an example of Veblen goods. People are paying such high prices for an NFT. That again is possibly an example of a Veblen good. Now there's a Veblen good and there's a different good. I'll just explain this concept because just to ensure that we understand the difference between the different kinds of things. Because there are certain other products also where when the price goes up, the demand goes up, which are not necessarily Veblen goods. Now, a typical example is a different good, which is let's say there's a poor family which is spending, out of the 100% amount that they spend on their food, almost 60%, 70% goes into, let's say, grains, and 40% goes into vegetables and meats. But grain is something which is essential, and if the price of the grains go up, then they'll have to reduce the consumption of the meats and vegetables. So what happens is when the price of grains goes up, to a certain level, the consumption goes up and the demand goes up, because it is actually substituting the meat and the vegetable, so that the calorie intake remains the same. So that is another kind of good where when the price goes up, the demand goes up, but it's a totally different thing from the Veblen goods. Now, another thing is there are certain products where the demand is inelastic. Like we've all seen the prices of petrol or diesel or gas. Now, in the last couple of years, the prices have shot up by almost 70-80%, but still the demand for the gas or petrol is not coming down. Why? Because it is virtually inelastic. It is almost mandatory. If you have to travel, you have to fill up the gas. शुरू में होता है जब price बढ़ता है, 2 रुपए 5 रुपए बढ़ता है, तो आप कहते हैं no, I must economize, I must do a carpool, I must do this, I must do that. But finally we all fall back to our own level. So, but these goods, again, when the price goes up, the demand is not affected. So there is an inelastic demand for their certain kinds of goods. So let's understand conspicuous consumption in detail, so that we understand how does a Veblen brand work. I'll just give you some examples of conspicuous consumption. A celebrity exiting a private jet in designer clothes with a designer handbag. When people buy something to show off that they can afford it, that is the basis of the entire thing. To understand Veblen goods, you have to understand conspicuous consumption. It is what Weblin was studying when he discovered Veblen goods in 1989. Conspicuous consumption is purchasing as a social signal to display wealth. A product that is conspicuously consumed is not bought for its utility value. There's no, there is a utility value, but it is not being bought for a utility value. Someone is buying it to show the people around them that they are wealthy. For example, a person may buy a Honda Civic car to get from A to B. An affluent person may choose to buy a Bentley so that they can look rich as they're driving from A to B. The Honda is available to the person that bought the Bentley if the car was all about utility. But they also value the social signals they're sending out to their peers, to the neighbors, to the co-workers, and to the competitors. Example of goods that are purchased to show off wealth. Again, engagement rings, luxury vehicles, furs, private jets. Now, there's another thing I'll tell you. You would have noticed, I don't know, we've seen it in Chandigarh and in the north also. These numbers being auctioned, the numbers, registration numbers for the cars or the mobile numbers being auctioned. Now, recently, a single digit number 1 in the new series was auctioned for some 27 lakhs in Chandigarh. I said, what the hell is this? What is the guy trying to show? He bought the number, he put it on his vehicle, it was splashed all over the newspapers, and that is what satisfied his ego. So that is again an example of a Weblin good. The brand someone chooses to be seen with can also signal their wealth. We call these these as Veblen Brands. Veblen Brands, they cannot seem to charge a high enough price to scare away customers. The customers don't get scared away by price. Like I said, 27 lakhs for a registration number. It's something you would have heard of, a piece of art going for millions of dollars, for $100 million. You would have heard of expensive liquor being sold. I can tell you examples of liquor which is $500,000. Stuff like that. We used to run a liquor store in Chandigarh where we sold a bottle which was worth 7.5 lakh rupees. That bottle was called the Last Drop, and it was 7.5 lakh rupees. And it was against booking, but it sold. Similarly, a 30-year-old whiskey, which will be approximately $1,000. It's a regular seller. Some brands achieve a status where they cannot seem to charge enough to curb demand for their product. We already have talked about Ferrari sells out. Ferrari actually sells out cars a year in advance. Apple charges more for an iPhone than they ever have. Weblin would have not been surprised at this because brands have become essential tools in consumption, conspicuous consumption. Where once the leisure class would have to adorn themselves with silk, leathers, and jewelry to show off their wealth. Now people can just display the logo of the luxury brands on the chest of the t-shirt or hood or the hood of the car. Certain brands become the symbol of wealth. Example of goods that are purchased to show wealth. Again, like I said earlier, luxury vehicles, furs, private jets, 5-star restaurants, resorts where you holiday. Now it's become a very big thing that, put it all over social media that I'm holidaying in this resort, or I'm holidaying at Maldives or whatever, or the Swiss Alps and all stuff like that. The presence of a logo from a brand with status makes it a completely different good. I'll talk about it later, but I'll just give you an example. A white t-shirt is worth around $10 or something. But a Louis Vuitton or a Supreme Box logo t-shirt retails for $500. And then it is resold in on the secondary market for, let's say, $1,500 to $2,000. T-shirt is a commodity, but a Supreme t-shirt becomes a Weblin good. The presence of that red box logo changes the game. Recently my son had his birthday, and he was telling me, I want to buy a pair of shoes, Jordan shoes or something he was mentioning. And those shoes were 31,000 rupees. And it is 31,000 rupees. So I said, Dad, listen, it's crazy. Why do you want to buy that pair of shoes? But in his peer group, it was like, you have to buy these kind of shoes. I frankly refused to entertain his request. But when I checked, those shoes are not available on the retail store. What happens is, let's say these are Nike and Adidas, and these can like a Jordan is a Nike brand. What they do is they come out with a limited pair of shoes, let's say 100 pair of shoes, and they announce it, and there's advance booking for it, and there's a huge line which is there in your local mall. Now that shoes out there sells for 15,000 rupees, and suddenly, after that, whoever buys that shoes, he can resell it on the social media at 30,000, 40,000, or whatever price that he wants to buy, or whatever price that he wants to sell, and there are buyers for that kind of a thing. I was telling my son, boss, why do you want to buy a second-hand shoe here for that kind of a price? But that is how the kids are doing it nowadays. I didn't buy him a shoe, but he took out his friends for a birthday, from 15, 20 of them, and they all collected money and they presented him that shoe. So I said, kya yaar, tum kya karte ho tum log? But this is how the children are. Supreme, Now, this is what I was talking to you about, the brand Supreme. This is an actual example of a true Veblen brand. The Supreme brand was actually created in 1994. And wherever this brand is put or displayed, that suddenly the price increases in value by a crazy multiple. So this is how a Veblen brand, this is typical example of Veblen brand which has got created. You must try and read about more about Supreme, or we can do another session on this, how this brand got created. If you read about it, you'll be surprised at what they've done to branding and to create value for something. So how do you develop a Veblen brand? So that is something which is interesting. What we want to understand, how do we develop a Veblen brand? A Veblen brand, these are strong brands that charge what they're worth and never make too much product. That is the first thing. Every business owner, every marketer would like to be able to charge whatever they want and not worry about losing customers. In that sense, achieving Veblen brand status is the holy grail of brand building. So that is, we also would like to charge our clients, whatever for our services. And, we are scared of charging our clients for our services only for one reason, कि बहुत ये भाग जाएगा यार, कि और इसको सस्ते दाम पे या सस्ते उस पे margins पे वो दे देगा. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to actually create a brand for ourselves. We need to show our brand on the product. That brand can be anything. It can be your name, it can be your logo, it can be your, and whatever else that you want to create. The first thing is we need to create a brand and we need to display that brand. Make your product identifiable during use so that people can show it off. So that is something which we need to do. A prerequisite to being a brand that can be shown off is having an easily identifiable product. So both the user and the person looking at the user need to know what brand they're using. It is no mistake that the Supreme logo is simple, bright, and easily identifiable. You can spot that logo a mile away on any part of the garment. You would have noticed all kinds of garments have these, everybody wants nowadays to wear a garment with a logo. Essentially, it is to announce that, yes, I have arrived and this is what I'm doing. But a giant bright logo on a product is considered gosh by many of the consumers of high-end brands. It's not graceful or classy. Because many brands are more subtle about their branding. So you need also to be subtle about your branding. Become a market of one. If your product is easily substituted for one from another brand, then it cannot be a Veblen brand. You will never achieve Veblen product brand status if your product is easily comparable and replaceable with the product or services of your competitors, or the need if filled by another product category. So essentially what we need to do is we need to create a differentiator. We need to be different. We need to do something differently than what everybody else is doing. We need to have a competitive advantage. And nowadays, the most common or in use word, we need to have a moat, which is different from everybody else. The Veblen brands of the world are a product category onto themselves, meaning that people will not settle for any other brand than that brand. They would instead go without that, than not to have that brand. Somebody who wants to buy let's say a Rolls Royce, he'll wait for maybe 1 year. They'll say we have a waiting for 1 year. It's customized. It'll take 1 year to build it. He'll wait for 1 year, but he'll not go and buy, let's say, a Mercedes or something like that. Even with like what iPhone has done. I was actually talking to a salesperson at a retail store, and the first thing people ask a person these days, the salespeople, they ask a person who comes in for a new cell phone is, are you looking for an iPhone or any other phone? Because the person who comes looking for an iPhone, he said that salesperson was telling me, he said कि boss जो iPhone लेने आ रहा है ना उसको कुछ भी बोलो, Samsung बोलो, कोई Chinese brand बोलो, वो नहीं लेगा, वो iPhone ही लेने वाला है, because he wants to buy an iPhone. That is how Apple has created this brand. They actually, Apple never made a comparison of their phone with any other phone. In retail locations, they displayed their phone differently. They never talked about speed, the functionality. They never talked about speed. They never talked about screen resolution or any such thing, so that there can't be any comparison with anybody else. So what they did was totally they differentiated themselves from the others. Constrained supply. Business cannot make unlimited products if they wish to maintain their Veblen brand status. If everybody has something, it loses its exclusivity and isn't something a person cares to show off. So Veblen brand cannot make unlimited amounts of product like a typical consumer brand could, or it would lose its status. The brand would be diluted. Selling a Weblin good may seem an easy route to a lot of business, but it is not. Veblen brands have a very high profit margin, but very low revenue. The trade-off for business owners makes is that they can have a nearly unlimited profit margin, but at a very constrained supply. Now, Weblin goods don't offer their products on a sale. There's never a sale on Weblin goods. Like a Louis Vuitton never has a sale. And the best part is they destroy whatever remains unsold after the launch of a new collection. Let's say the Louis Vuitton comes out with a collection, and at the end of the year, whatever is unsold, they'll just destroy it. They'll not offer it on a sale to anybody. So that is what it is. So we also need to learn from this. Now, we cannot offer our services to everybody. We'll have to constrain the supply. We'll have to decide whom do we want to target, whom do we want to serve, what is the kind of customer that I want to attend to, and that is what I need to do. I can't attend to everybody. And I need to attend to those people where I can get a better margin. Target the upper middle class. Now, this is very interesting. Weblin goods are actually not targeted to the ultra rich. They are targeted to the upper middle class. Why they are targeted to the upper middle class is because the upper middle class are the people who are the, let's say, the nouveau-riche, and they are the people who actually want to announce to the world, listen, I have arrived and I'm using these brands. So that is like, let's say, Dhirubhai, Mukesh Ambani doesn't need a Weblin good. He himself is possibly a Weblin good will go to him and tell him, boss, you wear our product or you use our product so that the others can be, it becomes an aspirational thing for the other people. So they are not the target market. The target market is the upper middle class who need to announce to the world, listen, we have arrived. So how can we be a Weblin brand? Can we as MFDs be a Weblin brand? And how do we differentiate our services? Do we differentiate our services by creating an alpha, or by reducing volatility in the portfolio, or by helping achieve financial goals, by our processes and systems, by our highly skilled staff, or by personalized relationship managers and service, offering a complete bouquet including concierge services, by our luxurious office, infra, presentations, etc., or by delivering what we promise. Now, we have to decide how do we differentiate our services. Now, this concept of complete bouquet of services, family offices is something which is coming up. Now, family office is essentially what? Family office is providing a complete bouquet of services and personalized services to a ultra rich family, which may also include concierge services. Concierge services essentially means what? Let's say that family wants to go for a holiday. So they will connect with the family office and tell them, listen, we want to go for a holiday to Europe for these many days. Kindly plan it out for us and kindly do all the bookings and reservations and stuff like that for us. And this is what is our requirement. And they'll do it. Let's say there's a wedding in the family, and they don't want to be bothered with the headaches of organizing and planning for the wedding. So they'll just tell the family office, listen, this is the wedding. This is our requirement. This is what you need to do. So kindly get it done. So the family office will get that done. Similarly, there are other kinds of services. It is let's say inheritance, training of the next generation. It is let's say will writing and will execution. Any kind of legal, financial, personal requirement of that rich family is being done by the family office. So can that be a route to creating our own Weblin brand? That is something which we need to discuss. Now, do these startups, now very interesting thing is, do these startups or unicorns of today, are they gaining from the Weblin effect? See, what is happening in the startups and unicorns is something which goes against logic. There's a huge amount of cash burn. There's no profit visibility, and higher the valuation, higher the demand for that equity. And everybody wants to be investing with the marquee investors. If you come to know today that okay, Nandan Nilekani is investing in that, or Ratan Tata is invested in that, and suddenly you also want to invest in it. And you are assuming that they've done all the due diligence, they've done everything, so this must be a good company or a good product. So are these unicorns and startups also gaining from being a Veblen brand, and have they positioned themselves as a Veblen brand without knowing it also? Now, that is something again, I thought while I was doing the research for this, that is something I came across. So I thought I'll just share it here. Similarly, like I mentioned earlier, our metaverse brands and NFTs, Weblin goods. And there is also something called the counter Weblin effect. The counter Weblin effect is what? Where people believe they will be admired for buying bargains or for being prudent in their purchases. This can be seen where people boast about how little they have paid for a typically expensive item. It can also be a motivator for buying in sales and low-cost outlets. A lot of research has been conducted to study cases of goods which show interface effect, and in which people seem to receive more pleasure from more expensive kind of goods. So what is the conclusion? The conclusion is price isn't the hurdle for customers you think it is. Stop worrying that you are charging too much for your product or services. Whether you run a Veblen brand or not, you probably think you are charging too much and leave money on the table because people are walking away when they hear the cost. You don't like the idea of scaring away customers. I've actually worked with a lot of people because I do some kind of business consultancy also. So I've worked with plenty of entrepreneurs who will work with anybody at any price. I've never advised an entrepreneur to lower their price. Often I tell them to do a detailed study of their price relative to the market, and they end up increasing their rate. Savvy brand builders are willing to scare away people who are not part of their customer base. All brands that are worth something say we are not for everybody. So we also have to possibly, we actually cannot service everybody. So we have to tell them, listen, we can't provide this service to you. No, we at Sahayak also do this, but our criteria for not servicing somebody is different. Okay, today our criteria is also a certain minimum investment, but otherwise the other criteria that we use is also that, if somebody is not willing to listen to advice, then it's no point spending effort and time with that person. Whatever may be the size of that that person's portfolio, we tell that person, sorry boss, it's no point here, you are not willing to listen to advice, you want to do what you feel is right, then you please carry on and do it. So that is something. So what we essentially need to understand is that price is not the hurdle for customers. We have to create a brand which can address their needs and which brings in exclusivity. Our own experience in creating a Veblen brand. We tried to create this, and we are in the process of creating a Veblen brand. What we've done is we've told a section of our customers or section of the market, okay, let's dream big. What we call as empowering the 1 billion dream, the 100 crore club. And we call it the Sahayak Billionaire Club. So what we essentially tell people is that achieving 100 crore or 1 billion rupees in your lifetime is not very difficult. It can be done if you do the proper planning, if you have the conviction, and you have the discipline to keep on investing as per your goal. We also target this to grandparents who want to gift their grandchildren. We tell them that when a grandchild is born, why don't you gift a certain amount, let's say 25 lakh rupees, and that 25 lakh rupees over a 40-year period can actually become 100 crore. So you would actually be gifting financial freedom to your grandchild at the age of 40 to do whatever they please to do, whatever they choose to do. So this is our basic target that we use. So what do we tell them? What is the privilege of being a Billionaire Club member? So this, I'll share this slide with this presentation with all of you. What we call as what is the privilege, so that we can tell them, listen, what is the advantage of being a Billionaire Club member? A personal relationship manager available on call, regular monitoring and review of investments, course correction strategy whenever required, regular updates and industry news, invites to webinars and IAPs, invites to Billionaire Club social events. Now, this is something which is the most important thing. Invites to Billionaire Club social events. See, what happens is you actually need to create a FOMO, the fear of missing out amongst a certain class of people. Veblen goods is what? It's also, what do? They create a FOMO that, okay, you've missed out if you've not bought this product. So through our Billionaire Club, we're also telling people that, listen, you need to be a part of the Billionaire Club, and doing social events, let's say doing parties and doing that kind of a thing, or doing webinars or doing other seminars where we invite very distinguished people to come and talk to them. That is something. And if the other person is not invited, he'd like to come and become a member of that event. Additional services that we provide are consulting and marketing. Okay, by Sandeep Sani, as we call it, free will writing and execution services. Process of becoming a Billionaire Club member. Budgeting and goal planning exercise, enrollment into the club as a member, start of investment, regular review, support and coaching, celebration of milestone achievement. We also do a celebration of any milestone that they achieve. Let's say it normally starts off with 25 lakhs investment. So whatever milestone that they achieve, 1 CR, 5 CR, 10 CR. We've not reached a 10 CR milestone with anybody so far, but we've reached a 5 CR milestone with some people. So that is something, we do a celebration, we give a gift to them. So that is what we do. So the eligibility criteria is minimum initial investment of 25 lakhs and 1 lakh SIP. It's not or, it's and 1 lakh SIP. Investor should be a major, investor should be KYC. That is basic, the legal requirements. Investor should provide all personal financial information. So start now, join the Sahayak Billionaire Club. So this is what we do. That's about it. Thank you so much. Feel free to ask any questions.